I would absolutely recommend deliberative lessons to other teachers. It's your way of not only, I would say, teaching your kids how to be great citizens and teaching them how to participate, but also just teaching them some life lessons, some things that they need to know in addition to math and science and social studies. I also think that it's a way to connect with your children. It's a way to learn who they are and how they think, and the whole forum, you're not telling them, what to think, or, you're teaching them how to think. And I think that's more valuable than anything that you could teach them.
Don't be afraid to try it. It's a wonderful experience. It's so beneficial to the students, and keep your main objective. You're gonna have content area that you want to cover, but you're also teaching critical thinking skills, and so it's important to remember that part of it as well.
I actually have a student who I would never forget. This was actually my second forum, so about 2008. This child, I don't want to make her seem bad, but she was one of those kids you couldn't step on her shoes, or she might want to hit you or something, or she never listened to anybody's opinions, and she just didn't care. Hers was the only opinion, and it was the only one that mattered. And after the forum, they had to write a paper about, the whole process and how they felt about it. And I saw that child, before I read the paper, I saw a change in her, just learning how to listen to other people, and even if you don't agree, you don't have to smack them. And I was really, really happy over that. But in her paper, she talked about how the forum taught her that, and how she wished that she'd had a forum sooner, because there were a lot of things that she could have been doing, and some contests or some different things she could have won had she only had those skills. So it's not that kids don't want those skills or don't care. They can actually see the value in National Issues Forum, and she did, and that's actually one of the things that inspired me to keep doing the forums year after year.
Initially, choose a forum that, especially if you're brand new at it, choose a forum that is a topic that is, you really think is going to be of interest to your students, or it is a content area that that you need to teach those particular students.
Making ends meet, what should go on the internet. Those are all kind of smaller forums that the students have personal stake in already, because they live with it on a daily basis. And jumping into those where the kids already have, their opinions based, and their, the content there is usually helpful. And then once they get the feel of it and they get the understanding more of what the deliberation is, they are willing to really jump into those deeper topics also.
There are many skills that the students will get from National Issues Forum. They learn how to process information, which I think is very important. And then when they process this information, they can take it and use it in different formats, whether it be writing, public speaking. They learn how to compare and contrast things. They can analyze documents. They learn how to speak eloquently too. They just rise to the occasion. And I think those things are, one of the reasons why I keep National Issues Forum in my curriculum here at the school.
I find that deliberation is extremely valuable in terms of the developing empathy within students for other people's perspectives, values, and even life experiences. As far as analytical reasoning, it's one of those things that when you have that level of improvisation that really occurs in any kind of an unscripted dialogue, then you have students immediately thinking about the things that are happening and transpiring really in real time. Beyond that, I guess in terms of the 21st century skills, it's just very fascinating to see students really actively engaged in their own education, and even more importantly, steering it in the direction that they want to go with it. So they're able to pursue their own interests as well as express their own feelings on a particular topic, other than as opposed to being on the receiving end of hypothetically a teacher's input.
I think they learn and understand that content at a deeper level because they are actually talking about it with each other, and they're hearing it from each other as opposed to a teacher just standing up in front of the classroom lecturing them on the material. So they're doing that mixed methods of sorts of they're doing some of the research, then they're talking about it, and they're exploring these different approaches to the point where, I mean, we're looking at how we are going to be able to use this to offer some of our history credit because we know that we can cover the content that needs to be covered with it.
I think they do get more of the content because they have a stake in it, because they are the ones not only teaching themselves, but they're also teaching their fellow students. So there is a larger stake in the fact that they need to dig out the stuff rather than somebody just standing up there and lecturing it to them. There's a greater stake in that they also need to be able to communicate it to others in having that background knowledge and not really wanting to look like they don't know anything within the forum. So I think they have a greater stake in knowing the knowledge. And so I have seen that they have gained more content than what I had expected them to.
I think that utilizing the process as formative assessment, it's so powerful in the sense of as you see those students talking about the particular issue, it really can guide your teaching. It guides where you know the students need to learn more, what have they already mastered, if they're already speaking to it, and it's something that they are, they're expressing and they're showing that they're understanding it with each other, then you can help push them in another direction and say, okay, we've got that area pretty well mastered. Formative assessment is critical. It's huge in education right now. We're understanding that we need to use assessment to guide the next step in instruction, and that's really what can happen as the students progress through these forums.
If a student has passed several times throughout the forum, we can later on go to that individual and find out why they were passing. Is it because of the lack of knowledge? We can look back at their worksheets. Do they really do, the background information that we had asked them to? We can ask them, where was your comfort level in that forum? What do we need to do differently in order to get you to participate? And then we can individually also assess where they are if there was a lack of participation within the forum.